It's that time of year again. The weather is changing from summer to fall. So what can you expect here in Connecticut? Hi, I'm Stacy Olson, and on my channel, I talk about living on the Connecticut coast. So for some of you people that aren't familiar with what it's like living in the Northeast, it literally happens overnight. You'll be in the pool, it's early September, you're still in your bathing suit enjoying the warm weather, and then all of a sudden in the middle of September, the nights get so cold. September really is surprisingly still quite warm here. Typically I'd say it's in the 70s, and sometimes it's still in the 80s. So it's that short sleeve kind of weather. But by October, I'd say you're generally in that 55 to low 60 range. November is firmly in the 40 to 50 range. And then December is where it really drops and you're in that like 20 to 30 range. Temps can swing largely here. So I'm not saying every single day in the fall is going to be 55 degrees. Sometimes it's 70 and sometimes it's 40. And obviously I'm talking about daytime temperatures here. Nighttime temperatures definitely plummet and can be very cold. The leaves do change here, and we do have some spectacular foliage and leaf peeping, as some like to call it. It is really, truly amazing. But once you've lived here for a while, you also get a little jaded, because as you look around the yard, all you see is work. There are falling leaves everywhere, which means it's time to get out the leaf blower, the bags, the rakes, or call the landscaper. Believe me, you gotta stay on top of your yard because your neighbor won't like it if they have a nice, pristine, leaf-free yard and your leaves are blowing onto their lawn all fall long. So typically, people are out there several times doing leaves. It's not usually like one and done type of thing. Some towns do lawn and leaf pickups if you're lucky. Otherwise, you'd need to either take them to your local dump or transfer station, pay someone to do it for you, or if you're lucky enough to live in a wooded area, you can usually dispose of all of it into your woods. Either way, it's a huge time suck for you and your family, or it's gonna hit your wallet. It's also time to put your patio furniture away. I have in the past just covered it with, those furniture covers and left it out all season, but to be honest, it never ended well. So if it doesn't get damaged from the wind, the snow, the ice, they do get quite mildewy and covered in pollen in the spring when everything starts to bloom again. So most people usually put them in their sheds, basements, or garages just to be safe, because nobody wants to be scrubbing all that furniture come spring. It's also the time to either throw out or trim back all of your summer plants or perennials that are hanging on to the last warm day. I still have some stragglers here that are blooming, and we're firmly in the middle of November. So we've been lucky enough to have some warm days here and there, so these things just won't die. And I feel terrible throwing away a plant that's still flowering. But to be honest, most are looking a little scraggly and they're turning brown, so I have to dispose of them. Another tip is to close your spigot off for your garden hoses. You should remove the hose entirely from the spigot and turn the water off from the house. And you can easily do this usually from your basement if you have one. Unfortunately, if you leave them on the spigot and there's water left in the pipes, it could cause them to burst in the middle of the colder months. So just beware. Another thing that hits your wallet is that heating bill starts to go up. We quite literally go from using AC to using heat within the same week. We had some weather here in late October that was, no joke, 80 degrees. I had the AC on in my house for several days at the end of October. This is not normal. Then the next week, the temperatures plummeted to like 40 degrees and we had frost. So there goes on the heat, especially at night. Another thing that's gonna hit your wallet is your electric bill. Since we do get darker here earlier than some parts of the country, you'll need those lights on more and for longer periods of time. So as most of the country does, we turn our clocks back in early November. And it starts to get dark here by about 4:30 by the mid to end of November. So when it does get dark at 4:30, The kids are just kind of getting off the bus by then in some instances. You definitely are leaving your lights on a lot earlier. This is also a great time to get your furnace serviced. You need to figure out if you're getting oil delivery, do you want the automatic delivery or do you want the best price? If you choose to go best price, you will definitely need to watch your oil tank if you choose this one. Because if you're on an automatic delivery, they know they come every, whatever it is, 3 weeks in the winter and they fill it up for you. But if you don't pay attention and then your oil gets too low, you could be without heat and nobody wants that. Something great about fall is that it's hoodies and sweater weather, boots and coats, hats and scarves come out. Honestly, this is one of the best things about fall to me. You get to finally put on all those cozy clothes that you love and bundle up when you head out. It can be a refreshing change from the heat and humidity of the summer. And honestly, that's something I really love about Connecticut. Just when you've had enough of one season, another one shows up. And obviously in the fall, everybody gets their pumpkins and mums. And it can be a fun time to head out to the pumpkin patch to find the perfect one. Personally speaking, one that I recommend around here is Jones Family Farm. They have something called Pumpkin Seed Hill, and it's located in Shelton, Connecticut. It's such a fantastic pumpkin patch. You can go there and pick your own pumpkins as well as buy gourds and squash and have hay rides, and you can buy your corn stalks, apples, and you can even use the corn maze. And this typically runs like late September through the end of October. So it's not happening now since we are in November, but it's good to remember for next year. And if you can't make it there are so many great options all across the state. You're sure to find a local pumpkin patch near you. Another thing that can happen here in the fall sometimes is snow. I'd say your typical first frost can be at the end of October, but probably more early November. And the first snow typically is in December. But we have had years where it's snowed in October, and I don't mean like a dusting, I mean like a foot. And then we have years where it doesn't snow at all. I think last winter, maybe we got 6 inches in total for the whole winter. Either way, the fall is a great time to make sure that you have your shovels and your snow blowers ready to go. You should make sure that you have gas in your gas can, because if you need to use a snow blower and you don't have any gas in there, then what good is that? Another thing that a gas can is good for is if you have a generator. So I have to admit, some parts of Connecticut lose power more often than others. I noticed that since moving to the shoreline, and I probably shouldn't say this because I'm going to jinx myself, but honestly, we rarely lose power. I mean, if we lose power, it's maybe 2 to 5 minutes. I think the longest I've lost power here may have been a half an hour. But when we lived up north, I'd say we lose power at least 2 to 3 times a year. It didn't matter if it was winter, spring, summer, or fall. Some big storm would come through, whether it was snow or ice or just a spring thunderstorm. We would lose power, and it could be days before we got it back. Hence why we purchased the generator. Another great thing about this time of year are hay rides and bonfires. I remember as a kid, we used to go on hay rides every year in Southbury, Connecticut. I'm not sure if they do that anymore over there, but it was just so much fun. We'd meet up with our friends and family and head out on a long horse-drawn hay ride. And it was nighttime, and it was cold, and you'd all be like bundled in the back in the hay, and it was so much fun. And then at the end, they'd bring you to this huge bonfire, and it's really like nothing I've ever seen. It's just such a great memory of mine. And nowadays, I'm not sure if they even offer those things, but it just reminds me of fall. And if you can't find one, you can create your own with a fire pit in your backyard. As the nights get colder, sitting around a fire pit with something warm to drink, or something that warms you when you drink it, sounds really appealing. I think I'll be back with a winter in Connecticut video when it hits us here, finally, in the next month or so. Until then, we can reminisce about springtime in Connecticut by watching my video. And if you like my channel, please subscribe. Please send me any notes or anything you'd like to see me talk about. And thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.